Willing if they're asked, you know.
Here we go, folks.
Our Conservation Board.
Call to order the January 24th, 2024 Rice Creek Board of Managers regular meeting. We're sitting in the Shoreview City Hall Council chambers. It's 9 a.m. Let the record reflect that all managers are present. Mr. Administrator.
Yes, Board of Managers, we would like to add one new item to the agenda, a new number 8, District Professional Development Assistance. We'll push the check register to the end, and the material was handed out ahead of the meeting and also emailed out.
Does anyone else have a suggested change to the agenda? If not, can I have a motion, please, to set
Mr.
the
Chair,
agenda?
I move the agenda as amended.
Is there a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
No opposed. So that passes. We move on to approval of minutes. Manager Robertson, would you do us a favor of moving the minutes?
Yeah, I would be happy to move the minutes. I wasn't sure if that was an option for me since I was unable to attend those meetings, but I do make a motion that we approve the minutes for the January 8 workshop and January 10 regular meeting.
Second.
Any discussion?
I would abstain from the regular meeting minutes because I was not present.
All right. So with that abstention, and by the way, our policy is you can vote as long as you have no.
Yep, I reviewed them, so.
So, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? With the abstention of Manager Wagaman. Approved. So consent agenda. Patrick.
Thank you, President Bradley. Staff have 2 applications for your consideration today. I guess I would just point out for the first one, 20024, I just wanted to clarify that that is both partially and after the fact application for a subdivision of a property under a stormwater management rule, and they are also proposing to construct a new driveway. So it is both after the fact and new proposed.
Does anyone have any questions of Patrick? If not, can we have a motion to accept the recommendations?
Mr. President, I move to Cap Rock permit number 20-024, 23, and 23-072. Guess that's it.
Second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, it passes. That takes us up to the election of officers. Someone want to make a motion about the,
Yes, Mr. Chair, I would move to approve the slate of existing officers. Mike Bradley, President. John Waller, Vice President. Jess Robertson, Secretary. And Marcy Wynett, Treasurer.
and Steve Wagaman will be second vice president.
And, and Steve Wegman, second Vice President.
There is a second to that.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Nay.
And it passes. Thank you for the privilege to continue as your president. I do strive, as I hope you understand, to make sure all of your voices get heard and we take consideration of your concerns. So with that, item number 2.
Yes, Manager Bradley, Board Managers, Centerville Lake Internal Phosphorus Load Reduction Project, the Bowser Grant. Matt is here to lead you through this item. I'll note it's on page 38 of your packet.
Yes, thank you, Nick. Thank you, Board of Managers, for having me here today. First item I wanted to draw your attention to here was the difference in title. This is not a huge deal, but difference in title on page 37, that was in the packet, and the title in my memo. The packet lists this project as the Centerville Lake Internal Phosphorus Load Reduction Project. That was the official title that went into the Bowser Grant. We good? Okay. The title that's on my memo, the Centerville Lake Alum Project, I'm going to refer to the project as that going forth for brevity and for clarity. The other name continues to be the official name in the grant, but I'll refer to it as the Centerville Lake Alum Project. So as the board knows, the district was awarded a large grant, Clean Water Fund grant from the state of Minnesota to do an alum project on Centerville Lake. We've been working hard to keep this project moving. Our plan right now is to do the first half of the alum treatment this coming spring, which is an aggressive schedule. As with all grants from the state, we sign a grant agreement. That is included here in the packet beginning on page 40. That's pretty much boilerplate language. I don't think that changes too much from project to project. Chuck is nodding yes. So there is that. Let's see here. As the board remembers in the last workshop, we talked about a breakdown of how we will meet our 10% grant match requirement. That's laid out in this table on page 38. What we had discussed at the workshop was that each of the project partners, and the project partners are City of Centerville, City of Lino Lakes, and Anoka County, all contributing equal amounts and similar to the district's amount. That's what's shown in this table here, where each partner is contributing $35,000. That's roughly 3% of the total project cost, and the district is contributing $50,000. That's 5% of the total project cost. Now that's important for staff going forward here. Doing okay? Okay. Important for staff going forward here, but as it relates to the grant, the agreement that we would be signing, that makes the district responsible for the total match cost. So these amounts that I'm showing here would be contributed to the district on a reimbursement basis from each of those partners. We've had preliminary meetings with each of those partners. I'm actually going to the Centerville City Council meeting tonight to discuss this. Previously met with Anoka County Parks Board. Those meetings have gone well. Those partners seem willing to contribute to this project, so that all seems likely. But just so the board is aware, the grant agreement makes the district responsible to meet the match.
Matt, could I interrupt you for right
Yes,
there?
yep, Manager Wegman.
Are we able to set up a taxing district if something does go wrong with the partners?
Yeah, Manager Wegman, we had some discussion about this at the workshop.
I know, and I don't.
What we landed on was we would fall back to the water management district if a third smaller alum treatment, like a booster treatment, was needed, say, 8 or 10 years from now.
I'm talking about, I mean, you haven't got a commitment from the
Right.
other members yet, and we're gonna sign the agreement.
Yep.
So we're responsible for it. What I'm asking is if they all three said, no, we aren't interested or something, which I don't see happening. But,
Sure. Manager Wagman, I would think in that unlikely scenario, the district has budgeted just this year alone, 2024, enough funds to cover that amount.
I saw that, but I'm just questioning whether at that point we can set up a taxing district, or is it too late or too?
Manager Wagman, the board could set up a taxing district at that point. Funds wouldn't start coming in until a year or two later. I would say for those amounts, $35,000, the question would be whether or not administrative costs to set up the water plant would be worth it. Yeah, correct.
That'd only be, I mean, only if they all three said, no, I don't, it's probably not even feasible.
Chair Bradley?
Certainly.
Yeah, if I could add a comment here. Steve, good point in regards to what do we do if things fall apart. I'll make note that, as Matt did, it's a good point that there's a administrative cost to setting up a WMD. So we want to make sure we're at a sweet spot to achieve that economy or efficiency. The district, its mission, its existence is for this water quality and flood control. And here on Centerville Lake, obviously, we've championed a lot of efforts to get to this point. And so I'll offer my opinion that I think it's wholly reasonable for the district to cover the match. I can appreciate the idea of skin in the game and that sort of thing. But on the other side of it, I ponder, if not Rice Creek, who? You know, MnDOT's not going to do this. DNR doesn't take these aggressive, larger ones. They may grant for it, but they need a leader, and I do see that as the district's role. So just a thought there.
Mr. President, I'd regret that we lose this $952,000. So I'm all in favor of signing this agreement, even though it places the district, encumbers us for $200,000. And we'll cross that bridge when the time comes, or puddle or whatever it is, if $200,000 isn't matched back. But I think the important part today is to secure that $952,000. Absolutely agree.
I agree with that completely. I just was wondering.
Are there other questions of Matt?
Manager Bradley?
Yep.
Just for the record, the district would be on the hook for roughly $150,000. That is the 10% match, not 2.
Pardon me, sir.
No, the argumentative, just for the record. Manager Bradley, a couple of other points to make. The agreement that's shown here is listed as draft. This is on pages 40 through 43, but essentially that agreement will not change. So what you're seeing there is the agreement. Likewise, the grant work plan, starting on page 44, is still continued, or still marked as draft or considered a draft work plan. However, the district has received some comments back from Bowser already on this work plan. I would categorize the comments as minor and not related to the budget. And so the budget presented on pages 44 through 47 will be the budget that goes into the work plan. And it's very similar to the budget that's shown in the table on my memo. The table in my memo is slightly higher because I'm including a 5% contingency that hopefully we won't have to access and use.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I'm ready to move the authorization if there aren't any more questions.
Or if Matt doesn't have more he wants to tell us.
I don't think
Take the
you.
money and run. Go ahead.
So I move to authorize the administrator and the advice of council to execute a grant agreement with the Board of Water and Soil Resources for the Center Lake Alum project.
Is there a second? John, I heard you
Second.
wanted to, Manager Robertson, thank
Manager
you.
Robertson seconded.
That's good. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No opposed? Passes.
Mr. Chair, if I could just make a comment about the clean water funds that are being used. This is the competitive grant. We also have money that's targeted watershed money that comes as a result of the watershed planning that is done. And that is a chunk of change that goes to to individual watersheds based on a calculation that Bowser has come up with for acres and number of water bodies, et cetera. I have heard some comments from those within the watershed that not enough money is being poured into implementation from the Clean Water Fund. And I just want to assure you and anyone listening that well over half of the Clean Water funds go to implementation. And the reason we have implementation is because watersheds and local units of government have done their one watershed, one plans, and that the watershed implementation money is getting out there quickly and projects are being built or developed and implemented, let's say that, and that the competitive grants take a little bit longer. And to the calendar that we're seeing that Matt has put in front of us, this is very aggressive. When you think we're only approving it right now in January and you plan to get this going by spring. So kudos to you for, and to the rest of the staff for attention to getting the money, getting the funds, developing the project, getting the contractors that are needed. So I compliment the staff on the work that's going on.
Mr. Administrator, I'm going to pause before Matt. Apologies, we skipped open mic.
Oh, oops.
And my apologies to the gentleman who's here with us. Mr. Scott Robinson, weren't you going to take it? Well, okay, but just to say, my apologies, we were supposed to have open mic. Let me check to see if there's anyone on the phone who wanted to talk to us. Apparently not. Now we will, thank you for that. We will go back to you, Matt.
So don't we have a vote?
Yep.
We have the vote yet?
We
You
voted
did
to
vote.
accept
Okay.
the agreement.
All right, so
Yep, so now
Been
we're
approved.
moving on
on to
to
Joe Bischoff.
item 3. Yep,
Yes.
Centerville In-Lake Treatment Engineering Services.
Yes, members of the board, beginning on page 49, we have a memo from me talking about the project engineer here. As with all projects, project engineer helps us refine plans, put together specs for quotes for a project, oversees contractor performance and measurements for payment, that type of thing. In this case, this work on Centerville Lake began about 2016, 2017, when we did some sediment coring on Centerville Lake. That's what kicked off this project. That work was done by Mr. Joe Bischoff at Wenck Associates. Mr. Bischoff has since moved to Barr Engineering. Barr Engineering did some additional feasibility work for us, including parts of the feasibility study that led to the successful grant application. So Mr. Bischoff and Barr Engineering have a fair amount of background going into this project. I'll also note that Barr Engineering has worked on many major alum treatments around the Twin Cities metro area and the upper Midwest, so they have a lot of expertise. I'm proposing here that the district hires Barr Engineering to act as the project engineer. I believe this is the most economical route given their history of doing work on Centerville Lake, and they also have the expertise to do the work. With those notes, I have the proposed motion towards the bottom of page 49, and of course, happy to answer any questions.
Anyone have questions, Matt?
Mr. President, I'll move that we authorize the administrator on the advice of council to enter into an agreement with Barr Engineering for services to support Centerville Lake Alm Project, or officially known as the Phosphorus Reduction Program, for the amount not to exceed $28,000. The administrator is authorized to approve contract amendments not to exceed 10% of the contract cost, $2,800.
Is there a second? I'll second.
Mr. President, I note that I think, Matt, wasn't Joe Bischoff at Wenck when they did the initial studies for Bald Eagle, and that program's turned out pretty nice, isn't it?
Yes, Manager Waller, that's correct.
Yeah, so he has a long history with doing excellent work with the district. Thank you.
Super. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 5-0. Which takes us to,
Item number 4 on the actions, Nook County Ditch 102232. That's the Houston Engineering Task Order, which is the overview of the ASIC available documentation. We had this previously on the January 8th workshop. Manager Bradley brought this idea up. Best to have unity amongst the board. Perhaps there's some questions in regards to the materials that the engineer, Houston Engineering reviews, and the impact of those materials or their weight on the determination of the ASIC. I note that Chris is online today, the district engineer, because he is ill, but the task order is on page 55 of the packet for the board's consideration.
as noted, we previously discussed this at a workshop, so I would move to approve this task order on ACD 102232 documentation review. Is there a second?
I'll second that, Mr. President, but if it's not too much trouble during the discussion period, could Chris give us kind of an outline of what purposes, goals, for workshop number 1 and 2, a little more color to what these are, what he intends to do?
Manager Waller, unfortunately, they are unable to hear us on the Zoom call.
Oh, Lord, provide.
Trying to fix it, but
That's, well,
Maybe you could call
I can.
I just,
him? Hopefully we can hear him.
yeah,
Yeah, Is this going to cause a feedback problem? I'll ask.
Well, we can,
Probably a good
We'll find
chance
out.
that it will.
Yeah. be
well, if
exciting.
it does, then
Yeah, there. That's when we get the feedback.
Hello, Chris. I am giving you a call from the board meeting. I understand you can't hear us, so I'm going to put you on speakerphone. We are considering the ACD 102232 documentation review Houston task order. It has a motion by Manager Bradley, a second by Manager Waller, and Manager Waller has a question. I'll now put you on speakerphone. Chris, why don't you give it a go and let's see if we
Does he
pick
know
you
what the
up.
question was?
Sure. Can you hear me there?
Yes.
Okay, Manager.
President, Chris, I wanted to know if you'd give us a little more color as to what workshop number 1 and number 2. I see you have some items that are listed here, 3 or 4 each one, but would you mind just giving a little more detail as to what these topics involve?
Sure. I mean, the intent for workshop number 1 would be to generally get an overview of how we do the determination of that as constructed, subsequently improved condition on any system. And so I'll plan to give a rundown of how that process works, how it we've utilized it on multiple other watershed district projects or efforts, and even elsewhere across the state. So it's really intended to be more broad and global of showing how that process works. So then the second workshop was intended to be a focus or drill down more on 102232 and what some of the challenges were on that system, the information that we had on that system, and how we considered it.
Thank you.
Any further questions of Chris?
Yes.
In that case, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
No.
Okay, interesting. I guess the motion passes 3-2.
Thank you, Chris. It passed, and I think they reinitiated the meeting, so you might be able to get in now.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Mr. Administrator, take us to the next
Yes.
item.
Board of Managers, now we are on item 5, which is the Ramsey County Lake Monitoring Services. Matt's going to lead you through this one as well, and that is on page, goodness,
58.
58. Thank you. Yes.
Here we
There
go.
you are.
Yes, here I am. Yes, Board of Managers, thank you again. Just a reminder, the district has a water quality monitoring program. You all know that. Our water quality monitoring program consists of several different partners that collect data for us, and then, of course, our staff at Rice Creek collecting some of this data. With regard to lake monitoring, it's a fairly even split between district staff covering anywhere from 8 to 10 lakes. We have a volunteer monitoring program that covers 8 to 10 lakes. Then staff from Ramsey County cover about 9 lakes every year. Ramsey County have actually been monitoring those 9 lakes since the early 1980s, so they have a very long data record there. Since 2016, the district has been reimbursing Ramsey County for these services, the cost of these services, primarily labor. The cost for this labor and equipment cost in 2024, apologize there, it says 2023. 2024 will be $27,542.23. That budget is shown on page, let's see here.
58.
65 shows the fee there. And this
Oh, I'm
agreement with
sorry.
Ramsey County, I'll note, also lists fees that the district would pay to the laboratory, to the commercial lab that will be doing the analysis. Those are shown on page 66. They're not included in this motion because, as with all laboratory services, we don't do that on a contract basis, but a fee for
Matt,
service.
apparently your pages don't comport with
66?
What, they do?
Yeah, they do on mine.
66.
66, I'm sorry. My-
Yeah.
Sorry if I
I heard
misspoke.
56.
No worries.
Well, that's good, thank you.
Yes, so managers, the total cost of this agreement, again, $27,542 and 23 cents. There's a motion at the bottom of page 58, and happy to answer any questions on this item.
Other questions of Matt?
Matt, the volunteer group, how many lakes are they doing, and how well are they doing it? I mean,
Yeah.
is it,
Yeah, thanks, Manager Wynant. That program is called the Citizen Assisted Monitoring Program. There we go.
okay,
That's actually run through the Metropolitan Council. And Metropolitan Council sponsors that project around the 7-county metro area. The fees to run that project, primarily fees for equipment and laboratory services, are footed by the district. So we're a partner, but that volunteer monitoring program is run by Metropolitan Council. The volunteers do a fantastic job there, and in fact, Metropolitan Council has their own quality assurance, quality control program where they randomly visit lakes that are also being done by volunteers and compare results, and they find them to be very comparable.
good to know, thank you.
Any other questions? If not, can we have a motion?
Mr. Chair, I would move to authorize the administrator to enter into an agreement with Ramsey County for lake monitoring services in 2024 for the amount not to exceed $27,542.23.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Board of Managers, Manager Bradley. Next item on the agenda is number 6, which is a letter of support, Washington Conservation District Soil Health Grant. This is on page 68 of your packet. Washington Conservation District is seeking its partners to support it in a Bowser grant application for soil health, which would bring additional local staff, a staff person, to that office. This ties into the Rice Creek Watershed District mission, as soil health is important for stormwater infiltration, which is, as you know, volume reduction on the landscape, and also plays a role in the prevention of erosion. So there is a draft letter within the packet for the board's consideration and president's signature.
Mr. President, I'll move approval of the Rice Creek Watershed District letter for support of Washington Conservation District Soil Health Grant and authorize the president to sign. And
I'll second that. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair, I'd point out on 69 that Washington County has 8 watersheds. I can see why you have partner meetings.
Mr. President, in addition to the 8 watershed districts, we have a couple of other water maintenance organizations in addition to that. So, yes, it gets to be a large group when you get it together.
Bet.
It's been going on for
Hello.
25 years now, I guess.
Yes. Forgive me, I'm calling Kendra ahead of the next agenda item.
So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. 5-0. So we are come up now to the Citizens Advisory Committee member appointment and waiting for Kendra Somerville to join us.
Yes, my understanding is that the audio situation continues. I do have Kendra Summerfield online here on my cell phone, on speakerphone. The item, the Citizen Advisory Committee member appointments for 2024 is an annual event. It is found in your packet on page 72. And Kendra, if you'd like to cover the subject matter.
Yeah, good morning, Board of Managers. I have before you the slate of CAC members for 2024. We do have 2 new members that were appointed last year, one in September and then one in November, I think. but we did have 2 members from Anoka County, Heidi Schleider, and then Dave Anderson will no longer be serving in 2024. So we'll have 2 spots in Anoka County open, which I am currently recruiting for. Otherwise, we will have 10 members for this year.
Any questions of Kendra?
Mr. Chair, Kendra, are there any plans to recognize Dave Anderson's long tenure on the CAC?
We can, if you would like to. We did send thank you letters to both of them, signed by Molly and I, and signed by, acknowledged by the board and by all staff as well.
I don't know what the precedence is, but I suspect Dave has been on for 8 years, if maybe longer. So if not, we could officially recognize his service here at the board table.
And how would you have us do that?
I don't know.
Make a motion?
I'll make a motion to appoint the 10 individuals proposed on the slate for membership on the Citizens Advisory Committee for 2024.
Okay, we'll start there.
Yep.
I'll second that. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. So passes 5-0. So as I understood, you would like to have the board formally recognize and express its appreciation to Dave Anderson for his long service and valued participation on the CAC. I would make that a motion.
And I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? You're kind of like questioning.
No, I'm not questioning. I just think if there is something that you would like to do to honor this person, let's dialogue options in a workshop and let's do that.
All
I
right,
think,
we'll
you know
do
what I
that
mean?
instead.
Yes.
Yeah, because this just feels a little too formal, and if we want to show our appreciation from a personal perspective for the time invested into volunteering with the Citizens Advisory Commission, then I think a more personal approach would probably be
I agree.
well received.
Yeah, I agree with you. These Citizens Advisory members, basically, it's a volunteer position, and they're very, very important to our process and important in connecting this board with citizens. So, so Dave, and for that matter, Heidi, forever,
Yes.
for no matter how long they serve, they have contributed to the benefit of the watershed. So yes, I guess I'd say, Kendra, think about that, what it is that we want to do.
Possibly we could invite them to, if they'd be willing to come to a board workshop where we could express our thanks and provide them with some Rice Creek Watershed District merch.
Some swag.
And for those that have been following Dave Anderson, he's the member who brought the Excel file and figured out how many dollars per unit of phosphorus and nitrogen and sediment, what the cost benefit was, and it was very enlightening for sure.
Board of Managers, staff will investigate options and protocol to have some appreciation for the Citizen Advisory Committee volunteers.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Really quick, Mr. Chair, can I ask a quick clarification question? For the 2 vacancies for Anoka County, is there a timeline in which you appoint members, or is it just when there's openings, the appointment process can occur at any time, or is it early year, beginning of the year, or is there a time frame?
Board of Managers, it's the former. When there's a vacancy, we
Okay.
look to fill it as quickly as possible. Annually, like we are today, it would be good if we had individuals to fill it. So that's the only correlation.
Okay, we did have some brief dialogue before our meeting started, and I'll reach out to Anoka County, to our commissioners, to see if they have any recommendations as far as citizens that may be interested in participating specifically in that Fridley area, since we do have that work going on in the Rice Creek projects and all that good stuff. So I'll see if we can't wrangle up some individuals that might be interested.
I'll do my best
Yeah.
also. That's kind of my old stomping grounds. is
Okay.
Fridley and.
Yeah, and oftentimes a member will have participated in one way or another in one of the watershed grants or projects, so there's some familiarity with what's going on. So that's a pool of potential advisory members.
Perfect.
Thank you.
One thing I would say, I'm surprised that there isn't some interest from the right by Rice Creek where they've been doing all the flood research and all of that. There was people there that actually applied for the board, I know. So if we could figure out, if I could remember who that is, they may be interested in the advisory committee.
Yeah, we can check with the county too to see what former applicants they've
Yep.
had for board managers positions, and there might be a way to plug in.
Exactly.
Okay. Happy to do it.
Super, thank you.
Yep.
Nick, this takes us to the added item 8, District Professional Development Assistance for
Yes.
Kendra Summerfield.
Correct. Thank you, Manager Bradley. That's the additional agenda item. It was, I'll make note for the record, blind carbon copy to the managers by email, available this morning to the managers and all the public. Ms. Summerfield is seeking professional development assistance. That is part of your employee handbook. She is in pursuit of a master's degree. In the last class for her to achieve that goal is the one of subject today, which is Advanced Ecosystem Restoration and Education. Deals with the communication of ecosystem restoration and its importance. The syllabus is in the packet. And Kendra remains online for any additional questions.
Any questions to Ms. Summerfield? John, you have previously expressed appreciation for this effort. Would you like to make a motion?
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll move that the reimbursement for the Advanced Ecosystem Restoration and Education course at Colorado State University for Ms. Summerfield, and when she successfully did completion of the course with a C or better.
And I will second that. Any discussion?
Mr. President, I'll note that Ms. Summerfeld has been a previous receiver of this program and has done very well. I believe at our last meeting, she said she got all A's so far. So I think the investment is well made.
And I'll note that I am on track to graduate this May. My graduation application was approved, and this is my last course.
Very exciting.
Ooh,
Yay.
congrats.
All in
Yeah.
favor, say aye.
Aye.
No opposed. So I will note, for sake of fullness, that the administrator also put on this a separate issue. The board may wish to consider an approach of progressive reimbursement. Would you care to explain that?
Yes, Board of Managers, my comment there was to respect the board's fiscal interests, and if it thought the amount was in some way concerning and wanted to secure those dollars, it could do so by a stepped fashion, if you will, where it would reimburse so much after 1 year and the rest thereafter. But it seems the board has sufficient certainty in its action.
Thank you. Any further questions on that issue? If not, we'll move forward. Check register.
Mr. Chair, I would move, I have reviewed and I make a motion to approve the check register dated January 24th, 2024 in the amount of $351,684.13 prepared by Redpath and Company.
Is there a second?
A second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
No opposed. Passes 5-0. Which takes us then, what, to staff reports?
Correct?
Or is it,
Staff reports?
Okay.
Yep.
Anyone have any questions or comments about the staff reports?
Mr. Chair, maybe not now, but in the soon future, if we could have an update on where we're at on RCD 235. I see that Ally is attending meetings and project planning. Where we're at on everything from what's going on the ground to what's happening with seeking some bonding efforts.
Well, let me address the second half of that.
Okay.
Which is that we have a Senate author, Senator Knuth, and she's worked with their lawyer, who came up with some excellent suggested changes to our draft bill, which we have now incorporated in. This afternoon at 1:30, we are meeting with our potential House author, Representative Feisch. We need to figure out how to pronounce it. If it's Spanish, it would be Feisch. I don't know if she uses Spanish pronunciation or not. Maybe we can try to figure that out before we go. Do you happen to know, Representative? So,
Would you
anyway,
spell it, please?
Feish. Once we have the bills introduced in numbers, then we will start trying to broadcast that to all of the people who serve Rice Creek as senators and work with our authors to see who else they want us to work with to find co-authors. That will be the next step.
Board of Managers, I'll advance on the technical side and our work with our partners. We have engaged with MnDOT as the flooding waters in the area do go on to I-35W. Major concern, obviously a valuable common area of the public for daily use. We also engage both with our communities, New Brighton primarily, because the next project that we'll be talking to the representative about is Jones Lake. This would be, I'll back up to say that the entirety of the project, as you know, is a matter of storage locations and then correction of the conveyances to get the water to those storage locations. Jones Lake being next on the slate is in New Brighton. New Brighton has purchased the property surrounding the lake, good portions of it, to move that project forward. We have just recently met with DNR as a opening to the regulatory challenges that the district will have to meet in undertaking that project, which is basically excavation of the lake, installment of a weir outlet to control and store the water on site. It will, it's intended to have a forebay for sedimentation, so an improvement of water quality. And the district, as well as the city of New Brighton, is hopeful for a community element, if you will, whether that's walking trails, fishing pier, that sort of thing, remains to be seen. In that it's a balance, a lot of it has to do with technical modeling. We had spoken extensively about South Hanson Park and additional flood storage there. The city of New Brighton, again, the player in both projects, has a preference for Jones Lake, and so we're going in that direction. So a little bit of shuffling of which projects come first and so on.
So, Mr. Chair, this is like a project management. I know Houston is doing the engineering. Is Ally leading the charge on this one, or how are we dispersing the responsibilities within staff?
Yeah, the manager's largest responsibility will come with implementation of the design. So at this early stage, the involvement of staff, Ally in this case, to help us do that, should we be successful with our bonding and the development of plans, or whether that's a future grant, has a lot of work that probably goes unrecognized, so, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Anything further?
And as always, Mr. Chair, I am continue to be impressed at the breadth of work that this watershed is involved with. So I certainly appreciate these updates.
Next up is the, I guess, the February calendar. Any comments on that?
February.
It's on page 119. I see Manager Waller has the CAC meeting on February 7th. I will be not physically present for either the workshop of the 12th or the meeting of the 14th. In as much as those will be occurring at 5 a.m. in the location at which I will be resident. Depending on what's on them, I might set an alarm to get up and listen, but other than that, I'll catch up for you.
Mr. Oh, go ahead. I was going to say, I will also be out of the country that week, but I will be present for the workshop on the 12th, but I will not be present on Wednesday, the 14th, as I will also be in a different time zone.
And did I see a notice for a public hearing about the stormwater management grants? And now I'm looking for the date on that one. 13th. The 13th.
14th.
Oh, it's at the board meeting. Got it. Okay, thanks for that reminder. Okay.
Any other comments or questions about the agenda, or the calendar for December? If not, administrative update, anything else?
Yes, Board of Managers, a couple items. Previously, I sent an email regarding the JD3 repair project and the Branch 4 challenges, the two excavators that sunk into the earth there. They have been removed, as Steve recognized, and Mike as well. This it was quite a challenge. I understand they had two wrecker trucks, any number of cables, different excavators, the construction or installation of a small road. They were using what we call swamp mats, something to displace the weight of the machinery. They had identified, or I've heard they used 4 of them to support the machine, but nonetheless had these challenges. So this coming Thursday, staff will be meeting with the DNR because this area is a public waters to ensure that we're in compliance with the regulations that DNR has. There was a minor amount of oil or this type of thing that my understanding was cleaned up and such, but just to make sure we're all in good standing. So that's good news after bad news. I'll continue.
Are they able to proceed with that project?
Well, that is up to the contractor to take a position. We have not received yet whether they would like to alter proceeding in this location or how they might go about it.
I can say one thing, I did stop and talk to the guys that were there, and they seemed rather perplexed on how they were going to proceed.
Yeah.
And I was gonna mention that we should maybe be figuring out how they're gonna proceed before they proceed, so that this doesn't happen again.
So we can provide some assistance.
Exactly.
So, Mr. Chair, I don't have a map in front of me. This JD4?
No, it's branch.
Oh,
four.
branch 4 of JD3. Okay, so this is that development area.
No,
Well, no, it's not, it's in
Not
the,
new development. It's, do you know what, there's a horse farm, there's a Edgecombe, I think is the road that goes up from Bald Eagle, the very north of Bald Eagle, goes up past a horse farm at traverses
Yeah.
right north of the horse farm. It's all wetlands. It's obviously it's PD soft.
so Mr. President, this is the very upstream part of Branch 4.
Yep.
I don't think they've done the portion that's done inside the lower, which would be downstream from there, that's in the actual housing project yet. I don't think you've done that. They have done the part that's from north of the road to the housing project. Very nicely done, clean cut, looks good. And so when you talk about what to do on the project next, I certainly hope we complete the part that's through the housing project. Those are mineral soils. And I agree with you. We need to kind of take a look at catastrophic events are caused by just one thing. There's multiple problems that all have the luck of coming together when no one expects them. And so we'll have to take a look at it and see what's going on as the events develop, because the department will be involved and et cetera.
Yes, Board of Managers, it is my understanding that they're moving up towards the housing area and doing the initial tree and brush clearing. As to the method by which the contractor does the work, I think it's intentional within these contracts that the means and methods by which they do it is on them to, we have the equipment, we have the skill set to do the work. So I think it's intentionally vague, but certainly we don't abandon them in these types of situations and continue dialogue with them. Yeah, they could lease a long arm backhoe that floats, as we used on JD2 branch 1 and 2. Maybe they have other equipment, but they've said they're capable, and we'll wait for them to tell us otherwise or how we might cooperate with them.
Mr. President, I'll just note that one of my observations was after they removed the machinery was the 2-inch steel cable that was shattered.
There was busted chains
Yeah,
also.
that was impressive, and not just one place. There's a couple shredded of them.
Wow. So the point, of course, is our lawyer here would tell me, is that we want to continue to make sure that these are contractors, not employees, and the more we exert control, the more risk we have of crossing that line. So clearly, we want them to be responsible for what happens.
Mr. President, before we start worrying about the responsibility, let's see what the facts
Let's get
are.
them done. We need to get it done. Either now or next winter.
Might have another warm winter.
Why?
Yeah. Sure, Bradley, I'll continue here. A few more additional updates. Going to make note that Gallagher, which is a human resource salary firm, is continuing its work. I have weekly engagement or so with them, coordinating with career enhancement options. That's Ellen. Recently, the positions were evaluated and categorized, and so the positions of the district, what knowledge and skills do you need, education, could it be high school diploma or a degree, the accountability that is for that position and its decision-making authority, nature of the work and its impact on the work that we do, interpersonal skills, are they negotiating or just following protocols that have been laid out, and of course working conditions, noting the broken chain or heavy equipment, or is it in the office and susceptible to a paper cut and these types of things. So all that goes into the evaluation. They're compared externally to the market, internally to each other. That's how the development of the salary schedule and the various grades comes about. It's necessary periodic work. I intend to bring that back to a full meeting of the board, all of its members. I note that the upcoming schedules and such, I will looks like the best option is maybe the March workshop, which is out there a ways. So maybe after a regular meeting, we could reconvene in a workshop for Alan to make his presentation.
Apparently, will you be here for the 28th?
Yeah.
Yep, so.
Maybe February 28th?
February 28th, if you want to do a
Yeah.
tack-on workshop.
Yes, thank you. Also note, attended Met Council, what is called the Northwest Metro Sub-Regional Water Supply Planning. Met Council is working on its water plan. This is a subset of that. Discussion of surface and groundwater, well interference. This sub-region is kind of Blaine's on the east side and then off to the west. But some good discussion, how do we plan for the future and those types of things. That's all I have.
Okay. Manager Waller?
Mr. President, the Legislative Committee on Water will be holding its meeting before the session on February 6th at 1 p.m. in room 123 at the Capitol. Basically, that should be the meeting where we see whatever the bills are that are coming up and where they're going. So I plan to attend that to kind of have an idea of what to expect, and no other comments.
Anything else, Jeff? Okay, Manager Wyman?
Mr. Chair, I attended, I think along with you, at the Metro Minnesota Waters meeting, last week? And we had a Clean Water Council meeting on Monday, and there's a lot of focus on the EPA charges in southeastern Minnesota regarding nitrogen in the groundwater. So something to keep our ear to the ground about.
Steve?
I have nothing.
Manager Emerson?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay, I've already, my one thing was going to be the legislation, which I've already reported on, so I have nothing else.
Move to adjourn.
Hey, I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Roundly approved.
Recording stopped.